Ever feel that invisible connection between a performer and their audience? What if we could actually measure it?
Fascinating question.
This deep dive explores the world of dance, technology, and human physiology.
It's a unique opportunity to understand how choreography and performance choices might be reflected. In the audience's body, we'll be examining heart rate variability and electrodermal activity.
You mean how our bodies react without us even realizing it?
Exactly. There's unconscious shifts that happen as we experience art.
Okay, so we're diving into the data from this specific dance piece, Bowling Mind, performed in Tokyo. We've got the choreography broken down into 6 sections.
The researchers equipped 98 audience members with wrist-worn devices to track their physiological responses.
To track their physiological responses throughout the performance?
Throughout the performance, yes.
Okay.
And the choreography of Bowling Mind was intentionally designed with specific emotional arcs in mind to observe if the audience's physiological responses aligned with the choreographer's intention.
It seems we're dealing with a carefully constructed performance designed to elicit specific reactions.
Yes, and the researchers chose to analyze the data through several lenses, including heart rate variability, specifically the LFHF ratio, and electrodermal activity, often referred to as EDA.
Can you remind us what those measures tell us about the audience's experience?
Certainly, the LFHF ratio provides insight into the balance between the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems.
Okay.
The sympathetic nervous system is associated with the fight or flight response, while the parasympathetic nervous system is associated with rest and digest. EDA, on the other hand, measures changes in sweat gland activity.
So with those measures in mind, let's look at the first section, suits. The performance begins with dancers portraying working women in suits and high heels, struggling against societal expectations. It's a high-energy opening set to the increasingly intense rhythm of Ravel's Bolero. Did the audience's responses mirror that crescendo?
While the LFHF ratio didn't reveal consistent long-term trends throughout the entire performance, there were noticeable spikes during sections with that intense Bolero buildup.
Including suits.
Including suits, yes. This suggests the audience's sympathetic nervous systems were activated, reflecting a heightened state of arousal or attention.
Moving on to section 2, cards, we encounter a shift in dynamics as the dancers break the fourth wall, engaging audience members in brief conversations and handing out business cards. What can we glean from the data about this interactive section?
Cards cause a significant stir in the data, particularly within EDA. We observe a sharp drop in EDA difference, followed by an exceptionally high peak in the EDA extreme account.
Could you elaborate on what those ED terms mean and what they might suggest about the audience's experience in this context?
Of course. EDA difference measures the rate at which EDA is changing. A sudden drop, as we see here, suggests a rapid shift in arousal. This could indicate a moment of surprise or a sudden shift in attention when the dancers break the fourth wall. EDA extreme account, on the other hand, tells us how many people experienced a significant peak or valley in their EDA at a given moment. Yeah. The high extreme account during cards implies a shared moment of heightened arousal across a large portion of the audience.
It appears that the direct interaction, that brief moment of connection with the performers, created a ripple effect of excitement and perhaps even a touch of nervous energy.
That's one way to interpret it. The data, combined with the context of the performance, suggests that direct interaction can profoundly impact how we experience art.
Yeah.
It becomes less of a passive observation and more of a shared experience, heightening our emotional responses.
That concept of heightened participation seems relevant as we transition to section 3, puppet. This section takes a different approach to audience engagement. The energy shifts dramatically as the music takes on a more subdued, mysterious tone. The dancers move slowly and quietly while interacting with puppets, creating an atmosphere of suspense and anticipation. Did this approach elicit a different physiological response?
Despite the calmer mood compared to suits or cards, we observed another spike in the LFHF ratio during puppet.
So even though the energy level was lower, the audience was still experiencing a physiological response indicative of heightened attention or anticipation.
Yes, and this highlights the importance of considering context when interpreting these measures.
Okay.
It's not just about the tempo of the music or the speed of the movements. It's about the overall feeling that the performance evokes. In this case, puppet, with its haunting music, slow, deliberate movements, and the introduction of these puppet alter egos, likely contributed to that sense of heightened attention, even if it wasn't experienced as overtly exciting or stressful.
It seems we're observing the physiological manifestation of suspense within the audience's responses.
Precisely. The anticipation of the unknown can be just as stimulating as more overt forms of excitement or stress.
This leads us to the most dramatic example of audience interaction in this performance. Section 4, Romeo. As you mentioned, one audience member is brought on stage and thrust into the spotlight.
And unsurprisingly, this section elicited a powerful response in the data. We see another dramatic drop in EDA difference, coupled with a substantial peak in the EDA extreme account, even more pronounced than during cards.
Could this suggest that witnessing a fellow audience member become part of the performance in such an intimate and unscripted way created a greater sense of shared experience, thus amplifying the physiological response?
That's a compelling interpretation. It speaks to the power of social dynamics and shared experience in shaping our responses to art. Witnessing someone we identify with, another audience member, become an active participant in the performance likely blurs the line between observer and participant for the rest of the audience.
It seems the data supports the idea that our understanding of art and our physiological responses to it are deeply intertwined with our social and emotional experiences.
Indeed, we don't experience art in a vacuum. Our personal histories, expectations, and relationships with those around us all contribute to how we perceive and respond to a performance, and as Boiling Mind demonstrates, our bodies reveal those responses whether we're conscious of them or not.
Fascinating. Now, shifting our focus to the second half of Boiling Mind, we encounter a noticeable shift in tone. The direct audience interactions fade away, replaced by a more introspective exploration of themes of growth and identity through the dancer's movements and expressions. Did this shift in tone correspond to a change in the audience's physiological responses?
It did. The researchers observed a distinct change in the PNN50 values during this portion of the performance.
For those unfamiliar, can you remind us what PNN50 measures and what its significance is within this context?
PNN50 is a measure of heart rate variability closely associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest state we discussed earlier. During the second half of Boiling Mind, there's a steady increase in PNN50, indicating a shift toward a more relaxed and attentive state among the audience.
So while the first half, with its high energy and audience interactions, kept the audience on the edge of their seats, the second half provided a space for contemplation and perhaps even a sense of tranquility.
That aligns with the feedback gathered from audience questionnaires. Many describe the second half as meditative, refreshing, and thought-provoking. It seems the dancers, through their art, guided the audience on a journey from external engagement to internal reflection.
And what's extraordinary is that we can track this journey, this transition from engagement to reflection, through the subtle yet significant fluctuations in their heartbeats and sweat gland activity. It's like having a window into the audience's subconscious experience of the art.
Precisely. These physiological measures provide a fascinating new lens through which to understand how we engage with and respond to art, revealing the profound interplay between our bodies, minds, and emotions.
This research presents a compelling case for the profound connection between our physiological responses and our experience of art. But it also raises questions about the potential applications of this knowledge. Could we use this technology to enhance the artistic experience for both the audience and the performers?
That's a question the researchers explored as well. They found that the dancers themselves were often too engaged in their performance to pay close attention to the visual feedback generated from the audience's data.
Which is understandable given the demands of a live performance.
Indeed. However, some dancers did report sensing a connection with the audience during specific moments, particularly those involving direct interaction.
The Romeo section comes to mind.
Yes, that was a notable example. One dancer described adjusting her movements based on the colors displayed on the visualizations, attempting to elicit a more pronounced reaction from the audience.
So even without consciously analyzing the data, the dancers were picking up on those subtle shifts in energy.
It appears so. This suggests that with greater familiarity and practice with this type of biofeedback, dancers could potentially integrate it into their improvisations, leading to a truly dynamic and responsive performance.
That's a captivating idea. Imagine a dance evolving in real time, shaped by the collective physiological responses of the audience.
It opens up a realm of possibilities, but it also presents certain challenges. For instance, how do we ensure that the technology doesn't overshadow the artistry itself?
We wouldn't want to turn a dance performance into a scientific experiment.
Precisely. We must strike a balance between utilizing this technology as a tool for enhancing the artistic experience without compromising the integrity of the art form itself.
This deep dive has certainly expanded my perspective on the potential of technology to reveal the hidden dimensions of our experience of art.
It's fascinating to consider how these physiological insights might inform future artistic endeavors, leading to new forms of creative expression and audience engagement.
It makes you appreciate the intricate connection between our physical selves and our emotional responses to art. Perhaps the next time we find ourselves immersed in a performance, we'll be more attuned to those subtle shifts within our own bodies, recognizing them as echoes of the profound dialogue between artist and audience.
Indeed. Perhaps the body is its own form of nuanced feedback, waiting to be understood and explored further.
A resonant thought to conclude our deep dive. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of dance, technology, and the profound connection between art and the human experience.